Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Wind Down Fridays with Give a Sister a Hug. This is your girl, author Erica, and as you all know, this is October. October is Domestic Violence Awareness and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this is the survivor story edition of Wind Down Fridays with Give a Sister a Hug. I have my fabulous co-host with me on Author Kim, and
Hey.
today we have a special guest, Chevy, and we want to thank her for coming on today and sharing her story. So we're gonna pass the mic on over to Chevy, and she gonna have her way and tell us her story.
Yes. Hey.
All right. So I'm gonna jump right in. Where do
Okay.
I where do I start, guys?
Go ahead.
Wherever you want to
Well,
start. You want to start from the beginning or you want to leave some stuff out, you can. It's up to you.
so I guess I'll start with I am a survivor. And every time I think about where I came from, what I've been through, how
Hmm.
far I got through it, I'm just wow. I had strength that I didn't even know I had, and I'm grateful for that every day. I was I was married twice. Let's start like that. My first encounter with domestic violence transpired in my first marriage with my first child's father. Um, I wasn't ready for marriage, I would say, because I was only 21, but religiously living in my grandparents' home, there was not another ultimatum on what I could do. Once you're pregnant, that was the rule, or I had to get out. So I moved out, and I was like, I don't want to marry him. We just did but I don't want to marry him, and so I moved out, and I didn't really have an option. Now I have to go and live with him. He had his own place, and in staying with him, it became, oh, I love you. We're gonna do this family thing. So you're kind of getting a taste of something that you're looking at like that may work. Well, maybe this can work. But then I am very independent. I am very big on having my own. I don't need anybody's anything. So I work hard. I take care of my responsibilities. I'm very dedicated to that. Now, to most men who don't have those qualities, that can be a threat. That can be intimidation. That can really crush them in an insecure way. Now, my first partner was definitely my first husband or ex-husband was definitely that. So now comes marriage, and I realized I was taught that when a man didn't have, I should always not look down on him, but take his 50 and take my 50 and become 100.
Right.
Now, do I believe that now, today in 2021? Hell no. And I'll elaborate on that why I don't, but let me stick to the story.
Okay.
So I stayed with him. We got married, and the minute I said I do was my worst nightmare ever. He didn't pay for anything. He quit his job. He stopped working. I'm now pregnant with our child. He refused to go on job interviews that I was referring him to, that friends and family was referring him to, and he was just no good. So when I had the baby, and when my son became 3 months, I went back to work, and I worked with children with disabilities in the Department of Education. So that was something that I always enjoyed doing and I love to do. So he was a great father to my sons because he did the nurturing part as I worked, but he did not provide. There was no chemistry between me and him. And I think it's because I was that girl that's very strong from the beginning. I know what I want. I'm gonna wait for this. I'm never gonna get a credit card unless I'm responsible to pay the bills. So I was super strong. I had life planned out, so I thought. So he didn't like it. I was too strong, and he needed a way to kind of tone me down. And the only way that he can do that is with violence. He would tell me that guys were looking at me, and when we would take cabs, he would scream at me because of my attire. He would tell me my dress was too short, so he'll go out and buy all. That's when maxi dresses just came out, guys. So he brought all those long maxi dresses to the ankles, and that was the only thing I was allowed to wear. It was very crazy. So I did come up with a plan, and I was able to escape where I didn't need his help and support anymore.
Right.
And then I was like, I'm going to divorce him because this is not going to work, but I need some time because by now I'm 22. And that's super young to make all these drastic changes when you thought you had life planned out. So, I am very limited in my family support. I am also a product, coming from parents who were divorced. So that's another thing that I have to live with and deal with. He ended up watching my son because he couldn't afford the child care, and I needed to work because I was trying to do this on my own. So one day I went to pick up my son, and he asked to use my phone. And at the time, I knew he wasn't working, so I'm like, maybe he just needs to make a quick call. All right, let me get the baby stuff. I let him use my phone. I don't know what transpired, who texted me what. I know that he flushed my SIM card down the toilet, and he told me today would be the day that you would be dead.
Oh wow.
In that, I knew that now I'm in his home. Normally we meet outside. So because I left him and I got away and I escaped, we always meet in the out place. But now I'm in his home picking up my child. So I'm like, all right, no one's going to know that I'm dead. So you start to panic. And I would say that every time he put his hands on me, I've never, ever, ever, I've never hit back. I was like, and then I was too numb. I was tired. A first time mom, my son had like milk allergies and a little bit of colic. So my nights were it was just disappointing or whatever. So I never hit back because I was too busy thinking about, like, if I fight him, what's that going to do? I need to figure out how to get out. So I thought about my survival plan, I guess.
Right.
And so that day, going back to that day, he ended up like hitting me, and I fought. And I remember that my son was in the crossfire of us hitting. He was injured. He got like his lip was bleeding. He was only 1 at the time. And I think I just saw red blood. He ended up cutting me like in my palm area. I'm not sure with what. Cut me in my palm. He was really trying to kill me. But I was able to manage to grab my son. I didn't care what I left behind, and I started to run to my best friend's house, which were a few blocks away, about maybe 5 blocks away. But I just thought, well, at the time I had the speed. Now my knees is bad, but I was out, I got to a main road, and he pulled me by my hair, and I fell down to the ground, and he just started kicking me in my head in the main road. Someone was screaming, get off of her, get off of her. He starts pulling to try and take my bag. It was just crazy. The baby was in the stroller at the time, so I could really move. And that was it. That day, I ended up getting to the steps of my best friend's house, and he still pulled me down again. Like when the guy was screaming, get away, leave her alone, he took a detour. So I'm going this way, he went that way. But for some reason, when I got to the steps of my friend, he right there again, pulled me by my hair. And the only thing I can think about is the safety of my child. So if I'm going to die now, at least they have the baby. So I like threw the baby in the house and screamed, help! And he pulled me by my hair and just started like kicking me, like beating me. I was down on the floor, and I don't really remember what transpired because I had a seizure. And the ambulance, I just remember the ambulance coming, my friend taking like like giving the story to the cops. Her brother ended up running him down the street to get my bag back. He took my bag, and at the time I was a young mom, and you think you're young and grown, and living in religious grandparents' house, some things ain't gonna work. So I was like, I needed his help. I didn't have anybody. So it was just like, I'm just trying to work. So I go to work with all my social, my birth, because I don't know where I'm going to sleep, rest my head tonight. Like that was my life. But I knew I had a better, bigger plan. I just needed that support, and it was super limited. So that was my first encounter with domestic violence. And moving on, I was just like, I know that I don't want that for my son. I'm raising a boy, and for a male, I want him to know the right of how to love a woman, how to treat a woman, and that's not the vision that I definitely see for his life. So I got out of that relationship, and I gave myself, I think, 2 years, 2 years. And in the midst of 2 years, dating here and there, talking to someone, I ended up going back with my prior partner who was prior to him. And I would say that was like my first love, my true love at the time. And we were in a 10-year relationship. We were married. Now we're separated. Divorced, I should say, hopefully soon. It's clearing in the progress. But we have 2 children together. And here I go again, trying to basically help someone taking their 50 and they're trying to make it 100. Because I think what I had to realize is I had some levels of dysfunction in me, and I'm able to say this now. I didn't see it then.
Right.
So I gravitated to men who shared the same qualities as me. At the time, I just thought like, oh my gosh, like he's so dope and he grinds, he makes sure, like there were qualities in him that was super great to me, and I needed that because I didn't have a mom, I didn't have my dad. Yes, they were alive, but they weren't in my life. They're just divorced. Everybody had their own issues of dealing with the separation, and everybody just shut down. To me, they abandoned us, me and my 2 sisters, and I. So I was just like, in that time, I'm just trying to live. And I can't help my sister. She can't help me. My sister was, 19. She ended up having 2 babies back to back in that year. So then I have my little sister who's, now I got to fend for my little sister because my older sister can't mother us. It was rough. And relationship was, I guess, my outlet to clear my mind, my outlet to feel free, my outlet to feel love, to kind of fill that void, fill that hole that I was missing growing up. So I ended up getting back with him. And he gave me that story, like, no man's supposed to put their hands on you. And the crazy part about it is when I was in my first marriage, we were super close. Like, he was like my best friend. I can call him for anything. When he found out what transpired, he was like, what? That's it. Like, no man should ever do that. That's not a man. Da-da-da-da. So I'm just like, all right, well, I guess he's a better man. So I thought. So I stayed, and because this time around, I already knew what transpired. I went to a homeless shelter with my first son, a domestic violence shelter. Absolutely the worst. What happened was that because he was arrested and he ended up getting deported back to Jamaica. He was Jamaican, and because he was not a citizen here, he was not legal here. So he ended up getting deported back, and because of that, I needed an address to show the state and the courts where I lived. Now, at the time, because I didn't obey my grandparents' rule, no one wanted to vouch and say that I lived there. So they were going to take the baby from me, and they told me if I didn't have an address, I need to show them where I'm living. So I had to do what they said. I went on a leave of absence from my job, and I went to the shelter to see wherever they can put me. Man, when I say that was the worst, inappropriate men, and I'm talking about the workers, the caseworkers.
Oh, wow.
Telling girls, if you do this, I can up your case, okay? I can up your case if you do A, B, and C. Inappropriate things, okay? Then my son, he ended up getting like hand, foot, and mouth disease there, high fevers, he had pink eyes, the roaches were the size of this.
Oh, wow.
Like, it was the worst experience, but I tried my hardest to stay as long as I can, and so they could put me in a proper home. And the first home that I had was like a really nice group home. It was kind of like a group home setting, not a shelter. And I had my own room. He had his bed, but it was depressing. I'm not gonna lie, it was depressing. And I still kept my job because I'm like, I'm not gonna give up my job to just go completely on welfare and then have to depend on that. Then they're gonna limit where I can make. Like, I had a good paying job. So because I refused to give up my job, they said I made $1.70 over the limit. So I didn't qualify. Every $1.70, I would never forget that $1.70. And I was, so, they make you in the shelter, they make you go every day. You got to go see your appointments, go to this. And I was crying. I was just like, well, so am I going to get public assistance? Because now I took a leave without pay. So, and they're like, no, either quit your job and then you go on job placement. I'm like, why would I quit my job to go on job placement? Give me help. I want to do this on my own. I'm telling you guys, I want to do this on my own, but I'm not going to quit a good paying job that can provide to be dependent on your assistance that's only going to get me through 1 year of support. What is that? So I was prepared. The only thing I got was food stamps. Everybody else in the house was getting cash, everything else, but they didn't work. They stayed there, homeschool their kids, and or whatever, put their kids in the serve things. It's just my mind was set differently. And what happened is I got kicked out of it because we had T-Mobile phone at the time we were married. So he was under, like, we were under the same plan. He went to T-Mobile and had them locate my phone. And he had the address of the domestic violence shelter, and he found me there. And I had to leave. It was just crazy. The shelter kicked me out, guys. They told me that the only way he can find me. Now, this is when GPS and stuff was coming out, like the location settings. This
Right.
is back. So I don't know if they're new, and I probably could like go back and sue, but I don't know if they knew, but they kept saying that the only way he would know is if I gave it to him. And I'm just like, why would I do that? I'm
Exactly.
scared of this man. I was scared of him. I would sleep with a knife under my bed because I didn't know what he was going to do. I'm just afraid. So they kicked me out, and I ended up having to find someone, and it ended up being my mom, who lived very far. She didn't live in the same county we lived in. She lived like 2 hours from where I'm from. And I had to go until the police can locate him. And then they finally did. They arrested him and deported him back to Jamaica. So I was able to come now back to the county where I'm from and resume my life. And that was rough because now he was the one that watched my baby. So who's going to take care? And then they give you child care. But I remember I didn't qualify for much. So it was difficult. And I fought and fought until I can, like, if I have to cut my hours or just go part-time just so I can get the child care for my son, that was the road that I took. So rewinding, or we fast forwarding, moving forward to my my last relationship, marriage, he told me like he was different. And I believed him because I was dating him before. The reason why we broke up was because he had a ton of women. And like I said, I'm that girl that be like, that could never be me. Oh yeah, that was me. So I was like, I'm leaving him. But my heart, like something just always connected back to him, and it was just weird. I don't know why, but we had a strong connection. So with that being said, he just changed. I don't know. It's so bad because like part of that side of me is numb. I don't even remember. It's just gone. But what I do remember are the things that he said to me. I had my daughter, and I really didn't want to have any more kids because I was struggling with my first. I was like, I don't want to go down this road again. But he was so adamant on me having a baby. He just kept pressuring me, like, we need one, we need one, we need one. And I remember telling him, like, I got my period, and he was just like, how could you? Like, blew up, and I should have saw that as a red flag. But I'm just like, oh, he really wants a baby with me. Like,
Right.
you know, I didn't flag. I was just like, oh. But no on to that. As soon as I had my daughter, he ended up losing his father. So his father was supposed to come up for my daughter's birth, and he was going to live in the state that we're living in now. He hasn't seen his father for 12 years. So he's like super excited, like, my dad is coming, or whatever. And the day before the dad, or I could think like a day or two before the dad was supposed to arrive to United States, he was killed, murdered in the head, shot in the head. He was a taxi driver, so he never made it. And I believe that that's when our relationship shifted because I had to tell him. His mom called me. She lives in Jamaica as well. So she's telling me, like, I'm here. His father got shot. This is what happened. Have him sit down. And, you know, I don't really know what to do. At this time now, I'm like 23. So I'm like, okay, sit down. And I'm trying to explain to him everything, what's going on. And I always felt like he blamed me, like I was the one that murdered his dad. But I understand that people have their stages of grieving. So I allowed him to just grieve, and I thought it was being supported, not knowing that it was deeper than what I thought it was. He had a gambling addiction. He was into horse racing. So there were days that we would lose our rent money and it was nothing to him. He just wouldn't come home or he'll sit in depression. There were days that I started to take his paycheck and put it up, and there were days that he would fight me. He actually put a knife to my stomach when I was pregnant with my daughter if I didn't give him the money. And we just had like a lot of drastic arguments. And then my daughter arrived and she ended up having colic. She had acid reflux. She had everything. When I say it was so much, and that was my first time having postpartum. I was extremely depressed because I know within my heart that if I had the choice and I was doing what Chevon wanted, she wouldn't have had more kids. I would have stopped with my first. My daughter's here and I love her very dearly, but for me, that was enough. You know, I have to be good in order for them to be good, and I was not great with one. So I experienced postpartum. I was so depressed. I remember her like coming home the day I brought her home, and she's like screaming her head off, crying, and I'm just like staring at the crib, like and I told my best friend, she was with me at the time, I'm like, I'm gonna go take a shower. And she was like, but the baby's crying. I was like, I'm gonna go shower, and I cried my eyes out in the shower. And then on top of that, my son was very young still, you know. They're very close in age. My daughter will be 10 and my son is 12. So they were close in age, and I just was, girl, I was lost. I was all over the place. He would tell me things like, no one will ever love you. He would tell me, I would never forget the two things that he told me in our arguments. Your breast looks like slippers. They sag. And that my stomach, because I had like massive stretch marks, that my stomach looks like a baked potato left in a microwave. And in your 20s, when you hear that, you question if you're young and vibrant and still got it going on in that postpartum. And so I was already internally beating myself down because now I'm in my 20s with 2 kids and I'm not healing. And now I didn't even know how to label it as verbal abuse because I'm still stuck on the physical that I had just a few years prior. So it's just like, how did I end up right back here again? You know, I just knew it didn't felt right. It felt the same, but I loved him, and I knew that running with Manny was a nightmare with the shelters and stuff. So it was just like, you don't even have an escape plan now with 2. It was difficult with 1. So I stayed a little longer, and I ended up getting pregnant again. And that's how my son came, and I was devastated. I was told that I was going to have a miscarriage, that he was in my tubes. Went to the hospital. It was just like, oh my gosh, and found out that I wasn't, but he was upset with me. He said it was my fault. He said that this is going to be a financial burden. He wanted me to keep on trying to have an abortion, but the problem was that I had a cyst, and I was told that I had like 12 weeks. So if I didn't do it, the abortion prior to the 12 weeks, I can like bleed out on the table. There was more risk with doing it. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put my body on the line, and it's not my fault. You know, we're in this together. So I didn't take that route. My son is here today, clearly. He's 8. And so he just tapped out. That made him even more. He had different girlfriends. We were living in the same roof. He was cheating on me like crazy, and I just lost it. I ended up having a nervous breakdown. And I left when I was 3 months pregnant, and I went to go and stay with my mom again. But my mom didn't have the room for me in 3. So when it was time for me to give birth, I had to return back home to him, which I did. And so I returned back home. I give birth. And at the time, my mom ended up losing her job and her home. So now we all returned back to my little apartment. And it was scary. I didn't let him touch my son. I gave birth it was time for me to go give birth. And he was like, let her take a cab. I have to go to work in the morning. I need my rest. And my mom was just like, if you don't get off this couch right now and take her to give birth, it's going to be a problem. Have a seat, please. That way. So I ended up, well, my mom got him to take me to the hospital. I pushed at 9:30. By 9:32, I was like, get out of the room. I was so upset. the people were like, do you want security? I was like, yes, I want it. Because, you're trying to keep peace. I don't want my baby born anyway. Like, I'm just trying to keep the peace. So I was like, you got to go. Get out of here now. Get out. I was like, that's it. Like, nope. And so he did leave, and I never saw him again. I stayed in that hospital for the 3 days with the baby, not even a food, a meal, a drink of water, not even to say, let me come back up. Like, girl, he just left me. Yep, he left me. But he didn't want to be there. He treated me the whole pregnancy like it was my fault for bringing a child into this world, which is another red flag. No one should be treated like that. So I ended up coming out of the hospital, and because you can't see me with the 3 days I'm there, don't even think about touching my child now. Yes, I came with that attitude. So we stayed in separate areas, and I didn't speak to him until my son was closer to 3 months. We didn't, in the same house, not talking. You need something, text me. You want to see him? You could peek through the window, but that's it. Don't come through to the room door. And that's just how we navigated until my mom ended up moving out because she said the house was too toxic. And that devastated me because I thought she would save me, like be my support. But I can't tell everybody what they can manage and what they can't. She couldn't. So she left me, and she didn't tell me. I came home one day and her stuff was gone. So there was another level of devastation. And because I already had postpartum, I was just dealing with depression. I ended up working when my son was 3 months, and thank God that my mom was there, so she managed the baby. So I was, trying to get my vibe back a little bit. And because he said he didn't want nothing to do with me, I started working at the airport. I work for Emirates, the flights that go to Dubai. So, I'm doing it my best that I can. I'm trying to just get back in it. And you're getting all these people, these wealthy people, these middle class people, and they're just telling me how beautiful I am. And I'm just like, but I go home every day and he doesn't see that. Like, are you sure? I just didn't feel that way.
Right.
And it made me feel super uncomfortable because the one man I loved didn't love me. And I didn't know how to love, so I didn't receive it. It was just horrible. So my self-esteem, I would say, was taken away then, because now I'm not the girl that you see and can watch movies with and be like, that would never be me. No, that is me. And I wore that, and I carry that. And I think other men around me, they can sniff that kind of that insecurity and that weakness, so they tried me too. And some of them I did give a little too much attention to, and some it was just it felt good. It did. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. At that time, I'm better now. But at the time, it was good. And so we decided to take a break, and I didn't think he was serious. Now that my mom's not there, I thought he would kind of say, well, man, let me really help her because she don't have no one. But no, he was on the couch, and I remember waking up to make the baby's bottle in the middle of the night, and he never helped me. He didn't take the baby, and he's on the phone with the other girl. He's like, I love you so much, and I'm just there in the kitchen making a bottle, shaking up the milk, and I have to hear him say all of that. So in my mind, I was just like, even if I don't want to, I know I have to. I gotta let go. I gotta move on. But I didn't. I couldn't. I was so drained, guys. It was just too much, too consecutive, back to back to back, and then pregnancies don't make it any better. So I couldn't think of a survival plan like I did with my son, and I think because I was too invested in my heart with him, so I now need to kind of let that die down before I can think of how to live without him. You know what I'm saying? I already was married to someone and it didn't work. So I already told myself this has to work. So I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make it work. And it just kept getting horrible. I would cry to my friends. I would run to my friends. But at the time, like I said, I was in my 20s. My friends still lived with their parents. So I was the only friend with 3 kids by 26. I had 3 kids by 26. And so to them, it was just well, I don't know what to tell you. You could spend the night, but my parents are not going to allow the kids to stay forever, so you got to go back home. So I always ended up going back, because I had no other option. And there was a time that we did get into a big argument, and I went back, and we had a heated argument. It was so bad. And he said he was like, I was on the phone with someone and he was listening to my conversation from outside. And it was a male at the time. But remember, we're on a break. He saw that it was a male. But what he did tell me earlier that morning was that he let go of his girl. So it's time for me to focus on him. Like, you can come back into your position now, basically. So I was like, no, it
How
doesn't
we
work.
do it?
That's what we doing, girl. So I was like, it doesn't work that way. Like, I'm good. I got the kids. Like, I don't need you. I'm figuring out. I pay their child care. I do everything. You're just here. I really don't see. Like, I don't know what you're doing. So I ignored him. And that day, because he gave me that, he told me that's what I needed to do, and I didn't do it. Girl, he was like, so he went outside. He listened on the phone, and he was like, I'm gonna kill you. So I'm like, I don't know what he was gonna do. So I heard it and I panicked. So I was trying to run to the door to lock the door, and he kicks open the door, kicks me in my nose, broke my nose, broke my eye socket under here, everything. But he didn't stop. It's like if you kick me in the door and realize, oh shoot, I made an accident. Nope. He grabbed me by my hair and he dragged me across the house and just smashed my face like that into. We had like a bar, the glass table, and all I could hear is he has a daughter, but at the time she's older than my son. So at the time I hear the babies crying, and I'm like, please, like, I will let you kill me, but let's get the kids out of the house. I didn't know what to say, and I'm smiling because I'm remembering it, and I don't want to cry, guys, but it was crazy. Like, I was just like, let me get the kids out the house, please. So I was like, let me call my friend. I'm going to tell her, let's drop the kids off, please, please, please. And he was just like, and the blood is all covered over my face. And I don't know. I talked him into driving me to get the kids to my friends. And when I got there, you know, her family is like my family. That, because, you know, neighborhood kids, we grew up together. So my best friend, they were like, oh, what did you do to her face? And so I told my friend, call the cops. And she didn't want to call the cops. I was like, so I ended up, I said, call my sister, please tell her to come here now. Meet me here now. And my sister, thank God, this day she answered, and she came to the house, and she was like, we're taking her to the ambulance. We're taking her to the hospital. Because we're just girls. It's me and my two sisters. So, you know, we got to turn into the dude sometime. Like, she's ready to tear him up now.
Right.
My older sister, like, she got 2 babies, and then I have to leave my babies with my best friend's family, and then everybody was just so shocked on what he did to my face. And so he's like, I'm going to turn myself in. So we get to the hospital, and then they take everything, and they ask me if someone did it to me, if the person was here. Now, do you know that in the waiting room, he was just standing, like, by the door? Because, mind you, I'm there with my sister. I didn't come with him. But he's just, like, really waiting, and I told them, yes, he's there. He's out there in the waiting room. They didn't do anything. They just said that someone would contact me or whatever, and that was it. I don't even know what happened. Can't recall if they asked me if I wanted to press charges. But I ended up leaving, going to stay back with my best friend's family, and it was too much. So they gave me like maybe a day or two, and then they said I needed to call my mom to see if she can take me. Now, because she left the way she did the first time around, I was still not speaking to her. So I was like, I'm not calling my mom. But I told his family, and no one wanted to take me in with 3 kids. That's just point blank. I'm not even trying to pretty that up right now. So I ended up going back, and it happened again. This time now, once again, we get into these arguments, and I don't want to say we're young and dumb, because that's not an excuse at all. And I don't even like to joke with that. But we got into another argument, and this time he went through my phone, and he didn't like what he saw in my phone. He said that I am no worth. Like, he just kept calling me a whore. And I've always been like, so I'm a girly girl, but I don't keep like a bunch of girly friends. Like, I don't have brothers, but I have like my bro friends. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he met me. You know, because sometimes girls come with too much drama, and I'm very real, full of life. Like, I appreciate my brothers, because it's all us being sisters. My sister is the same way. So her male friends, you know, see me as their little sis. What's the problem with that? But control factor. So
Right.
I'm a control, because now I know I broke your nose, I did this. And this is crazy because I'm going to be very honest to you, speaking my total truth on your platform. When he broke my nose and my face was like that, I told him, please just do whatever it takes for you to do better. I was still like wanting him to do better. Not even the fact that I was messed up, because I thought I can get it together. If he loves me, we can be fine. We can get over this. You know, I have nowhere to go. I need him. I can't live life without him. So we ended up getting into it again. And this time around, it was bad. He ended up getting me in my sleep, which he would normally do after this. Like, he would, like, jump and threaten me. Then I didn't know how to drive. At the time, I didn't have a license because I live in New York, so we cab it everywhere, I guess. But I needed that independency. So when I needed to pick up the kids and I was taking too long, he would, like, use that against me. If I didn't do what he wanted, we lived in Queens, he would drive, I don't know how to explain this to you, but to Brooklyn or to the Bronx, like past our exit on 100 miles per hour, like speeding with the babies in the car just to show me his authority, because you want to talk back to me, or you want to, and I didn't have nothing to do because now I don't know how to drive, and he had a 6-shift, that even worse. So if I wanted to get behind the wheel, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So I just learned it diminished my voice. Every altercation diminished my voice. Every altercation diminished my worth. Every altercation diminished like my love for myself. And I didn't see life. And then I got 3 kids to give love to. But I didn't have it. I really didn't have it. Oh.
Need a minute.
So I ended up this altercation, he got me. The charger was on the bed, like we slept on the bed, and I had my charger, and I slept with all 3 babies in the room, very close to me, because was I afraid of him? I wasn't afraid of him. I was just afraid of him killing me. I don't know if that makes sense. I was afraid of dying. I didn't want to die. So I was so drained. I worked at the airport, very weird hours. And this was one of my days, like, off, and he took the charger and went like this. And I jumped up like that, and I was like, and he was like, you're lying, you're a liar, you're a liar. Whatever he saw in my phone was enough for him to do what he did. So I was just like, okay, shit. He broke my nose, I came back. Now he's really going to kill me in here. And I don't know who the hell's going to take, no one's going to take me. Where am I going to go? Because, you know, who I stayed with, my time was up at the inn at my friend's house. So what's going to happen now? So I was just like, ugh, I didn't even have the energy. And when he did that, like, I finally got him to, like, get to a point where he put his head down, and I took off running to the door in my bra and underwear. Sorry, guys, I'm one of those sleepers. So I was like in my bra and my underwear, and I said, and I screamed, but I got to the top of the steps, and he dragged me right back down. And in that moment, I thought I was going to die. I couldn't even recall anything else because I just had a seizure. I had a seizure. And I remember waking up to my neighbors came. They called the police. It was police and everything. And my landlord at the time was just like, you guys can't stay here. This is too much. Like, this ain't going to work. It's too much every week, too much, you know, your old rent 1 minute. He's gambling. Like, he's never going to change. You need to, like, and so they ended up charging him with, like, a felony. And he I don't know. They ended up charging him. And I ended up having nowhere to go. At the time, thank God, it was tax season. I took all my taxes, and I got the kids, and we stayed in a hotel. And the only option left, I stayed there for a month in a hotel. And I had, like, you know, some families would come and try and pay for a night, but it was $156 a night for a room. So my money went real fast with food and paying for the hotel. And now I need to figure out a plan. So I ended up going to another DV shelter. Hell on earth. Did not work out at all. Now that one had the roach this big crawling over my son's head. And I put the kids in, they made me put the children in like a daycare, and they had us doing like this community work where we have to sit down and like kind of, I don't know if it was counseling or what. And at the time they were telling us that the government didn't have a program for us, but they're working on this program that they will give us, and it would only help us pay our rent for a year. So now I'm back where I started a few years ago. And still the system it sucks. It's horrible. And that's part of the reason why a lot of women go back. And I am one of them. I am one of them. So I was just like, okay, well, this makes no sense. And now I go and I get my kids from the daycare, and I'm like crying my eyes out in the shelter. And we ended up having like -8 degrees that day in New York. So our pipes were frozen. And I couldn't even bathe. I couldn't give the kids a bath. And now I'm in this mouse-infected, roach-infected shelter. It was disgusting. Disgusting. No kitchen. So I had to always go out and buy food. I'm in the county that's wherever they placed me, and I don't know no one, nothing over here, which is, I guess, their way of keeping us safe. But it was horrible. So I did, this is my first time, my kids kept screaming and crying, and then they stopped eating. In this moment, I was just like, this is not even safe. This is not even healthy. They're like terrified, more terrified of the shelter than they was of what they witnessed. Like, this don't make sense. And this is not the life I have for them. I packed up everything. I don't know what I'm going to do. But if it takes for me to work 4 to 5 jobs and provide a roof, I'll do that instead of taking a program that's just going to help me for a year. So I signed myself out of the shelter. And I told myself I would never go back. What did I do? I went back to him. So we couldn't see each other. We had like a stay away thing, but I got in contact with his mom. Well, I was already in contact with her, and she was the one to kind of like give me money and stuff when I needed it. And then going to his family is basically like going back to him. I'm sorry. People love you. They say they do. But I think the deepest intentions is just to see you win with their, especially with their child. So, and I've learned that now. But at the time, she was a great support for me. And I appreciated it because I didn't know. I needed that guidance and that sense of direction. And she gave that to me. So I ended up, a lady from my grandfather's church ended up taking us in. She was like a family member, but not blood related. And she told me she had a room, and her daughter goes away to college, so I can use her room as well if needed. And she would take me in with the kids. So I ended up doing that. And I stayed with her for, I think, 1.5 years, almost 2 years almost. And that was enough to get me on my feet. And then I moved far out to a county where I knew now I got my license, guys. I don't know how to drive by now. I was like, that's going to be the last time I stepped my game. I upgraded myself. So I got my license. I ended up going to like another county, kind of like a Nassau County, Long Island. Well, Suffolk County, actually. I moved far away, which is 2 hours from where I work in the borough that I was staying in. But I knew that if I go that way, that the money I make here can give them a better life there. And then my rent is cheaper there. So I would make that sacrifice. So now I go from not having a fear of driving, not knowing how to drive, to driving 2 hours every day to make sure that their life was good. But I still didn't make enough money. I needed like another income. So, now our court case is over. I even was trying to get them to throw it out so that we can, be back together. And they were just like, no, it's not against you. It's not your choice. It's against the state, against him. So you can't do that. So I ended up, what did I do? I ended up, the case was closed, and then now he moved into this new home with me, and this is supposed to be our fresh start. Who was it? It's just, I don't know. So many chances, right? Do y'all want to say anything or keep going?
Keep going.
So many chances. So I ended up making this commute every day with him and like the baby. because the baby went to daycare closer to us in Queens, and we commuted every day back and forth where we lived in Long Island. And my mom would be the one, mom again, now I'll come back to mom because that was my reason for moving. She would put the kids on the bus, the other two children, and take them off the bus until I got home. Things were okay the first year, not great. And I kind of hesitate on him moving back in with us because I'm just like, I kind of had a 2 years, a year and a half without him, but I still was getting his income. I needed the income. Not knowing that I really should have just got it without him underneath the roof, but I knew that he couldn't afford both roofs. So it's just like, well, I guess I'll just let him come in and take my half that way. And I did. And part of me still wanted the family that I already had planned in my head from I was pregnant. So it's just like, why not try again? And now I'm on this road where it just didn't work. I think I started to elevate myself more. I went back to school. That was something I thought I could never do. I wanted to get my degree in college. I wanted to finish. And now I'm in school doing a double major. And he's just like, I want to go to school too. I'm just like, really? What do you want to do? And then I'm just like, okay, why don't you take this trade? Why don't you take this course? I paid for him to take his trade. I paid for his GED. I'm like, help, because if I'm winning, I want him to win too. Even though I'm the girl he said that has a baked potato stomach. Like, I should have just took my baked potato stomach and focused on me. But girl, I'm over here trying to elevate and bring him with me. And so it was just a lot. And I just noticed that the more I was doing, the more it was like he didn't feel great about himself. So he just kept attacking me in my wins. And I was just like, all right, this is too much. So we separated again underneath the same roof. And now he's not giving me the half that I need. He's not giving it to me. He's gambling more. He's now depressed. The kids are hungry. Daddy, I'm hungry, and he can't be current. He was not. Now we have holidays, Christmas. Are you going to get the kids something? Every holiday event, Christmas, my birthday, was destroyed by him. His energy, him not being present for the kids, and then I'm just going because I don't want the kids to notice because we done did a year and a half without you. So this was supposed to be daddy's great now. We can all be happy together. No. And I'm going to just keep going, guys. Fast forward to us living underneath the same roof for 10 years now, like this, the same circumstance. And his half now has to be paid by family members that I don't like because I'm a very private person. So now everybody knows my business because I have to keep borrowing money. And he's just living there. And people are telling me, be patient. Just pray. Take it to the Lord and pray it. Take it to the Lord and pray it. But it just got to the point that I just stopped praying. The Lord and prayer couldn't help me. I was just so frustrated. I gave up. I gave up on me. I gave up on trying to be strong. I thought about killing myself. I thought about driving off. I just wanted to give up. Life was fun. I did not think that, like, there was no way I could repair from this. I couldn't dream again. I could not. And it was just it. That one day, it just got, and I'm going to talk to where I'm coming closer, guys. It's a long journey. It's because there's many chances. But that one day, I always wanted to live in Florida, and I came here right before I had my son, my last son. I visited for the first time to Florida, and I was coming to my cousin. She's like my sister cousin. I don't know if you guys got a cousin that's like your sister. That's mine. So she's my sister cousin. So she's graduating. I'm older than her, but we're like super close. And she's like graduating, so I have to be here for her prom and everything. And you know, my aunt heard how he was speaking to me, and they were like, no, he's not going to talk to my niece like that. And that's my favorite aunt. So, you know, she was concerned, and I was just like, well, we're going to get it together, and I promise you things are going to be better. And as soon as it's better, we're going to move here as a family because I want to come back. I love Florida. I'm seeing these girls out here with their stretch marks. They have no care in the world. And I'm just like, I want to live in that state because I got stretch marks too.
Right.
You know, holds me to like fashion runway mark, and I don't fit on that. So I want to live in a state where like I go to McDonald's and they're like, "Good morning, welcome to the 21st." Like, you. So I want to move back here. So, you know, I told him that I was going to stay and I wasn't going to come back. And he was just so like, no, you're going to leave me? You need to come back. You need to come back. And the minute I came back, I got pregnant with my son. I guess that was his way of trapping me. So now that's still a goal of mine. 10 years later, I'm still wanting that goal. And he just kept telling me it's not right. I don't like that state. That's not a state for me. I won't be able to work there. I won't be. So he just kept like putting it off. So I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to wait. Now we're not great. Things are not good. I'm like really struggling. Every day I drive my 2 hours to work. I'm crying my eyes out. I'm crying in the car. The kids are like noticing things and I couldn't take it anymore. He like every time I got us out of a hole, he dragged us right back in.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we come up to get air from drowning, we go right back down. And the more I prayed, the more it got worse. The more I kept telling God, if you do this for him, God showed me, here you go, I did it for him. He still didn't change. I made a list and prayed on it. And God gave me everything on that list for him to be. He got baptized. He gave his heart to the Lord, to Christ. He got his GED. He's doing good with it. But every time we just never.
Back in that hole.
And now the kids are getting older. And now we're like screaming. And then he's like charging at me. And because they saw you do this to mommy's face already, they're like on an arm like, Daddy, but you told us when we moved back in this house it wouldn't be that way. Oh, no, it was still that way. But the problem was when he jumped, I sat quiet. And because I sat quiet, I didn't get my ass beat. I'll just call his mom. Mom, can you please? I'll tell his mom, like, can you please talk to Chase because he's threatening to hit me. He's trying to hit me. Yep, he's coming closer now, Mom. Can Mom talk to him over the phone? Just so he can, because I knew he responded to his mom. He lost his dad, so maybe some parent could get to him. And after a while, there were days that didn't work. He didn't care. So there was so much that transpired, and I would take up your whole damn TV show, talk show. So I won't say, but I'm going to talk about me getting to here now. And that happened as I took the kids out to eat. And this is one of the days that we just came up from catching the breath, and he made us drown again, financially. Not only that, the car, we had 2 cars, totaled the car. So now I'm like back taking the train to my 2-hour away job and train 2 hour back. That is costly on the Long Island Railroad, $20 a day, girl. Like it was ridiculous. I had school at night. I'm in school now. I'm like, I was flourishing in college. And for you to like kind of like, so I graduated in 2005 from high school, but for me to go back to school 10 years later and like still got it with these young, fresh out of college, high school kids, I was very happy. I found a college that I thought I can really do great in. And I always wanted an empowerment center. I didn't want to be a teacher, even though I'm great with working with children with special needs. I was like, I wanted help. So my major was for psychology and human resources. Like I just wanted to know I'm gonna do this. I have to do this. I always wanted to do it. But so I'm doing great at work. I'm flourishing in school, and now I take the kids out to breakfast because now it's a Saturday and I'm just like so depressed. And I remember that day they said to me like, Mom, you've been in the bed. Like, why don't you get up? Like, are you okay, Mom? And I just didn't want to live anymore. I thought if I lay there, I would eventually die. And that's what I wanted. So I ended up taking them out to breakfast because the more that replayed in my mind of what them telling me, like, dang, Mom, come on, you haven't bathed, you haven't showered. So I showered, I got up, and I took them to a diner that was near the house. And I was like, order whatever you want. They're like, can you eat with us? And I was like, I'm not hungry. And they were like, please? And I was like, no, just eat, guys. And then they said to me, Mom, if you want to go to Florida, we'll go with you. Like, we want to go there too. You don't have to do this anymore. And in that moment, I was just like, they know. Like, I thought I was hiding it. I didn't know that they were able to, like, kind of really tell that mommy is, like, not happy. I was like shocked. So I said to them, you guys, you would leave your friends out here? Like, you like it here? And they were like, but we love Florida. We want to go. We want to go, Mom. That is not changing. You know, they see him on the couch. He's depressed. When he's depressed, girl, he's depressed. He don't shower. He stay in his same clothes. He closed all the blinds, everything. So, like, the only light we have is in the room. But when he sleeps on the couch. So when we come in the living room, it's dark, pitch black. And I just couldn't save him anymore. Every time I thought we were great. Like, yeah, we're a happy married couple now, girl. We got it going on. Yeah, here goes my family, the one I always wanted. And I'm celebrating him because he hated holidays. I went over and above when it came to his gift, his birthday, just so he could, like, look, see, you can love this. Like, but narcissistic. Girl, it didn't matter. Once they get them, that's it. And so when the kids told me that, I was like, I'm going to move. I'm going to move. And I decided to plan, and I booked a one-way ticket to move to Florida. And then things got great. I ended up staying. Again, I got my money back for the ticket. I'm just like, we're going to be great. We're going to try one more time. This time, it was the honeymoon phase again. And at the time, I didn't know that was even a thing. But, yeah, it was. And I got a text message from my daughter that day. My mom, I guess it was too familiar again, and me and her got into a heated argument, so she stopped putting the kids on the bus. So I just left him that morning. I was like, listen here, you got to take the kids to school. I can't do it all. I'm working, I'm going to school, I'm providing, I'm paying a large amount of the rent. Like, this is ridiculous. I can't do it no more. And we're not talking, so the only way we communicate in this house, another home, is through text message. And he didn't respond to any of my messages. That morning, I got a text message from my daughter saying, Mommy, can you please come back home? I'm scared. We're in the dark, and I'm scared. At the time, she was only 7, so just imagine that. And that would make my son was 5, and my oldest was, 7, 8, 9. He was 10 at the time. So think about that for young kids. My son also was supposed to play for the district. He plays the drums for the school. So the school is now calling me saying, you said Emmanuel will be here. Where is he? And I'm just like, he is not there? And now because I'm 2 hours away, I think at the time I got, I had a vehicle. So I'm 2 hours away, but I can't get to them in time to save them. And I just cried at work. And another thing is that I was great at my job, but I was tired of wearing my problems. Everyone knew, even if I didn't want them to know. I either was crying and then I had a health condition. I had they tell me it's autoimmune. I still don't know what it is. But there were days that I couldn't physically move. And there were days that my legs would give out. And so my health was just going down the drain. And strength was super hard for me to be strong physically. And mentally, I had already lost that. So I called him. He didn't answer. My son had a cell phone, and my kids had tablets. I'm calling, and they're not answering. And in this moment, I've seen him get dark where he would take the kids for me some nights and, tell me that I can't get them back. So I just was, freaking out. I had a bad toothache, guys, and I know it sounds crazy, but I ended up still going to the dentist to get my tooth taken out because it was so painful. And I was just like, I can't take it anymore. So I went to the dentist, and I'm calling him hey, I'm near your job. Are the kids with you at work? Because you didn't take them to school. He still didn't respond. And I get home because now I have no response, and I see one light on, but everything else was in darkness. And in that moment, I'm he killed himself and he killed my children because he's not answering. I'm banging on the door, can't get in. I left my keys with my son because when he goes to school, he needs to get back in, and nothing. And I lost it. I had a nervous breakdown. I was screaming, crying, busting my head into the steering wheel of the car. I wanted to drive. I literally kept telling myself I was going to drive off a bridge into a lake. I would do anything to just give up because I cannot do it anymore. I cannot. And in that moment, my friend called me, and she's like my soul sister. And she was just calm down. And I was she was just just calm down. And, you know, God knows who to send in your time of need.
Yep.
This is someone that I lost everybody. So because I kept going to my friends when I was having problems, they stopped talking to me. So my best friends, everybody cut me off. Because I guess every time I went back, they saw it as like, but I didn't know. I had nowhere to go. And I really want to touch on that because people have to know how to support your friends in this season. Like when you're going through as a domestic violence victim, it's difficult. And I know it may seem to them like they have the easy solution, but it has to match that heart and mind. It has to match for you to even take that leap of faith and trust yourself to do. So I didn't understand that. And when I say I lost, and it's just a lot of grieving, a lot of stuff. And so this new friend now, she just started praying with me. She was like, give me your son's cell phone number. I will call him, calm down. And she called my son and he answered and he goes, hello, I have to talk really quick. My dad's in the store. He told me I can't answer none of my mom's phone call right now. She asked, where are you? He says, I think we're on our way home. We're at a gas station. He ran into the store. I was able to get that relief and I waited hours with the gauze in my mouth, bloody teeth, taking like, girl, in pain, waiting for the Novocaine because I like drove by faith and they arrived. And when they arrived, I went upstairs and I was just like, I'm gonna take the kids to CVS to me. And my sister kept calling. She was like, just come to my house. But my sister lives in Connecticut, which is 2 hours away, the other way. And I lived in New York. So she's like, just come to my house. Like, we'll figure this out. And I told him, I'm going to take the kids to CVS with me. I'm going to go and so I went upstairs. I put the birth certificates and their social in my purse, and I left the house. That was my last time seeing him that time. So I drove to my sister's house, and I hid out there for 2 weeks, and I birthed the plan of moving to Florida, and I had to resign from my job. Because this happened in May, it happened May 25th, moved out June in New York. So I had a plan. I will take a leave of absence, and then in June I'll resign and go to Florida, use this time to now see how it works for me there. And I had a friend here in this county, and she was just like, you know, she's a single mom too, so we can both, you know, give it a try. So I was just like, okay, fine, I'll do that. I prefer that than living in Connecticut because I felt like if I was near, I probably would have ran back. That's the routine. That's what I do. But I really wanted to be done, and I wanted to go in a place that I wasn't reachable. I needed that. He needed that, and so I did, and it was rough. I ended up going back to my house and trying to pack up what we can because remember I left with nothing. I picked up underwears and everything and I hid for 2 weeks and he did not know where we were. And he was reaching out for us, and of course I was so close with his mom, but you know, I didn't tell her where I was. I was just like, she knew at this time, she knew like enough was enough.
Right.
And I ended up going back to the house because what it was is that every day I love to shop, but it comes with a demon. A broke one too. But I was trying to fill the void again. So shopping was, and I just did like a big thing, and everything I would buy, I bought like a 65-inch TV just 3 weeks prior to this. Anything to make myself feel great in the home. I was still empty. So I went back because I was like, I ain't leaving all of that for him. If I'm moving to another state, that's coming with me. I ended up getting like a good moving company, and once I said God puts people in your place, so it ended up being like a Christian family moving company, and he was just like, I can help you. Because remember my plan was to move in April, guys. And I was watching TV, and their moving company came up like on a commercial. No, wrong time. I was on my phone Googling things to come up. And you know, like when you Google one thing, so it gives you like a pop-up?
Yeah, 1,000 other stuff come up.
Yeah, so this came up. And when this came up, I was like, let me just call them. So I asked the guy how much he would charge to move my stuff to Florida. And he was like, we'll charge like maybe 1,200. Nothing. I was like, really? I could afford that. That's like half of my paycheck. So I was like, okay, that you bring it there and you'll set up my kids' beds when I get there. And they were like, yeah. So I was like, whoa, say no more. So I was happy. But because I didn't end up leaving in April, he knew that I put it on pause. So now I call this time and he's just like, wow, sis, like I can hear in your voice that you're trouble. And I shared with him, I said, I'm in a domestic violence relationship. I need to leave. I'm going to drive to Florida with my kids, but I want to know if you can please give me like a good cheap a price in my range that I could carry some stuff. And when I say they were awesome, I went there one day, I only had one day to go to my apartment and take the important things. And I knew because we've been in and out of the shelters and we tried this already that my kids always remind me, Mom, every time we gotta leave, we gotta leave our toys. So what I did was I took all their rooms. I took my clothes because I love my clothes. I took my 65-inch TV. I took my deep fryer that I sport, all the things that I love, but not much. And the guy just kept, the day he was like, please take more, take more. And he goes, and on top of that, you get a 3-month storage. So we hold your stuff for 3 months and you get a free, we said a free storage thing. So when you move to Florida, by then it comes on. And now look at God connecting the dots. I'm over here afraid, thinking I don't have a plan and like this is happening. It just worked in my favor. I signed the kids out of school, signed myself out of that college, and I was just like ready to go. And the enemy definitely tried me a few times, but I'll save that for chapter 2 because he tried me a few times, guys, and I ended up driving to Florida. But what happened was that my grandfather, I was his caretaker, and I didn't want him to know I was leaving. He's 98 now. But I didn't want him to know that I was leaving, so I told him the day of because he didn't live with me, but I was his caretaker. And I wanted the family to step up. Like I was dealing with a lot. He has 8 children. This is weighing on me. I've reached out multiple times. No one cares, but I have a heart. They raised us. So it's like he's my father, but I need help here. So I told him the day of, and he was devastated. He cried his eyes out, and he was not having it. So the family that he was living with ended up sending him to Florida. And he told me, don't put the kids in the car, let them fly with me because I don't want to fly alone. So he flew with the kids, and then I drove down with, I was able to use the back seat for some stuff, and I drove down, and I'm here.
Oh,
Here.
so my question is, how many times? Because that's they say the, I guess, statistic is a victim tries to leave 7 to 10 times. Would you say that will be your number?
I would say more than 7 to 10 times for me because I came here in 2019, but I also went back. When I came here, COVID came.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to work extra jobs to make the income, and I didn't get on my feet. I came in 2019 of June, and I got my job. I got hired here August 1st. The kids started school August 13th. I had my first apartment August 5th. Who I thought was going to be my single mom club friend who was going to help me, she ended up doing me completely dirty. But once again, God puts people in place, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just we're no longer friends. And, I appreciate her stepping stone that she gave me to get here, but it was not an easy one where I could really get myself together with that support. So we're no longer friends, and I wish the best to her, and I appreciate what she's done. But now he placed other people, my coworkers. I ended up coming very close with her neighbors. There were 2 guys, and they helped me out a lot, but I was very cautious because I'm just like, But they taught me a lot. And I would say that's when I realized the example of what I can deserve, what I could receive, because these are gentlemen here. I came here broke. 15 cents was in my account. I had no money, no plan. And when I got here, he was like, I'll take the boys to the barbershop. Come on, we're going to the pool. Come on, we're going to move. And they paid for everything. Drive in the car. And I was like, can you drive? Because I don't know anywhere around here. They're like, I'll drive. And they would drive my vehicle for me. and I know I needed gas, but I was just like, maybe I'll just wait until money drops. Nope, they pull right into the gas station, fill that gas up. And when I say God just kept connecting the dots, but even with that, I still question if this was where I needed to be without him.
Right.
So I'm just like, and now I'm in the state where it's way cheaper than New York. And I'm like, I'm not working. So I call him and I'm just like, can you move here? Yeah, that was me, guys. Crazy me. Can you move here? Can you give me he was like, oh, send me all the pictures of the apartments before you get it. I'm gonna send you the first and last. And I was like, all right. And so I'm thinking he's gonna hold me down and then he'll move here, but we need the space. And what happened was he ended up using my social and going to take out a new iPhone, okay, on my name. And my friend at the time, she was just like, when are you gonna get it? Like, he just straight to use you. He does not care. Anybody knows that you're not working and you came all the way over here with these kids. He wouldn't be out there trying to get the new iPhone. Like, no, and I was just like, but, and then that's when I cut him off, but then COVID hit and things happened. And I was just still questioning if that was the road that I should go on, because another thing is I really did not want to be divorced again. I wanted to work. So it was my son's birthday, March 13th, which was the day that like the states were shutting down here. So Disney was done, and we planned to he flew in. So even though we were separated, he came for my daughter's birthday. He did something separate with her, and I did something separate. Then it's my son's birthday now, and now because of COVID, we had to do something together. So we planned to meet up in Orlando, but it didn't work that way. Everything was happening. So we ended up going to SeaWorld together. And I think that just gave that honeymoon phase again. And then I was supposed to go and bring the kids to see his mom in Virginia. And he was like, my car got messed up. So I was like, I can't go. He was like, I'll drive you and drive you back. I was like, really? I'm thinking we're co-parenting, guys. I go to Virginia to see if I like it, because his mom was just like, you're in a state where you need support. I think that you should move here. You can live with me. You can go back to school. Doesn't that sound great? Everything that I was doing in New York with the support of her. So I went back, and going back was the worst thing for me. COVID hit. Everything is shut down.
Sound like that mom was more in with him than anything, because she was just too friendly, because you know what your son doing, and 9 out of 10 the mama was going through the things that he was doing because he had to get it from somewhere.
I think the mom is very strong, but she has a lot of children. She has like 6 kids, and her youngest were a little bit older than my oldest, so she had he was her second oldest. I think she's just tired. She's from Jamaica as well, but she's trying to get her life together. She's really tried her best, but her son was just wild, and I just wanted accountability. When I say there were days that she would really be in my corner, that's why I loved her so dearly. But when I lived underneath her roof, and now because of COVID, we were locked down in Virginia, I just went to visit, and then I was like, all right, well, I liked it. It was honeymoon phase for 2-3 weeks. Do you guys know that I took everything that I moved from? I got delivered here from Florida to from New York to here. I came back during the pandemic and drove all the way back to Virginia with my stuff to try one more time with him. That's more than 10 times, guys, in the story. Yeah. That's in the story alone. In the story alone, if I tell you my timeline, it had to be more than 10 times. Within the 10 years of us being together, way more than 10 times that I've given up. And now because the mom told me that one dream that it goes back to your deepest want. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to say this because this is really true. When you know what you want in life, the enemy has a plan of making that your next level. He can put some tomato sauce, some hot sauce, some sweet heat on that and present it to you like that's the direction that you're supposed to be in. And in that season, when COVID hit, everything was horrible. I hated Florida. I was like, I can't make it here. This is hard. It was harder than what I thought because the pandemic just made it even enhanced worse for me to get on my feet. So now here she goes presenting my deepest wants, which was what? Support. And I go to this state and I'm going to receive it and I get to go back to school and I get to do all my deepest desires. And I went there and we had the honeymoon phase and he was not supposed to live there yet. He was not. It was just supposed to be me and the kids living with his mama. And he was going to go to New York until he got was ready to come back. And maybe, possibly, we could work forward. But girl, when I say he came out here, he helped me bring all my stuff back. I brought everything back to that state. And in the car ride, he just started questioning me. And at the time, because when I came here, I became super close with the neighbor. And like we were dating, but we split it at the time because I wanted to focus on myself. The neighbor kept loving, like his love for me was so unfamiliar. So I was like, what do you want? Like I was so evil to him. I couldn't receive it. The only one word to describe it was royalty. I've never met a man that wanted the best for me. I never met someone that loved me like that. And I needed to get a break from him. I just felt like it was too much. I didn't like the fact I was like, I'm still married, so this is not going to work. I don't, in my mind, that was something. And then B was the fact that I wanted to love me the way he loved me in order to a healthy version of love. So, and what I love and appreciate about him is that he gave me that time. Even though he knew like he really wanted to be with me and I really wanted to be with him, we like together as adults came up with we will always be great friends, but we gotta call this quits. So when he found out that I had, that support, he was just like, well, who is he and how further did you guys get? And now he's asking me the question. Meanwhile, he had a whole bunch of relationships, a whole bunch of girls, a whole. So I was just like, all right, so once again, we're driving now back with the last of my furniture to Virginia. And we're in the car, and he's like, pulls over in the dirt, like in the dark, somewhere in North Carolina or whatever. And he was just like, I'm not driving this car. How could you do that? You're a whore. You're disgusting. You're this, and every word that you can resonate for yourself. And then he just kept saying, like, you don't sleep with me. You don't sleep with me this way, you don't do this, and like the things that he would require me to do intimately was enough. I just get chills. It was disgusting. He degraded me because he saw me as nothing, but if I didn't do it, he wouldn't drive. If I didn't do it, it was just like out of control. So now we get back to the mom, and we're like, problems on problems, and now I got all my shit here from Florida and Virginia. Now I need to run again back to Florida or back to New York. I didn't know what to do at this moment. So I remember speaking to my cousin, and she was just like, Chef, you don't have to do it. If Florida was hard for you, why don't you start small? Like, start in a 1-bedroom. Why did you, like, you don't need a bedroom for each one of the kids or a 2-bedroom. Like, do it smaller, and it can work. There's ways around it. That resonated with me. I stayed, and then now we got 3 kids in 3 different grades, and he's sitting on the couch doing the same thing he did in New York, in the dark with the clothes, not helping me. And everybody's virtual. Plus, I work for a school, so I need to work virtual, too. And he refused. So I would tell his mom, yo, he's not helping me. And she'd be like, just send the kids to me. And it's just like, so now I'm noticing that, oh, so this is how it's going to work. And then she'll say, what's wrong with you guys today? And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not dealing with him. And just like, go about my business. And she'd be like, I just can't with y'all. Y'all? Because the last time I checked, I'm up. Feeding these kids. I'm doing virtual school, so how dare you say you can't work with y'all? And then my daughter, it just got worse. My son started lashing out on me because now he's like, he promised us, and he's not even changing. Like, he's not changing, Mom. Like, I don't want to live here. You just keep moving us from state to state, and now the kids that were like so great hate me. And I thought I was right by giving them daddy again. No, only one child wanted that, but he couldn't even get daddy because daddy wasn't even present. It was just the body. It wasn't the mind of, or like the representation of what daddy was to them. They get him on a good day, but it's more bad than good. More bad than good. So now I'm like freaking out because how I'm gonna move all this stuff back? What am I gonna do? So I ended up coming with a plan. I got my survival plan real quick because I was not living in that mother's house, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And I cried and I cried and I stopped eating. Now I'm depressed, and my daughter is the same. My daughter got so depressed, guys. An 8-year-old like stopped eating, and she kept waking up at night. And then she said to me, I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I'm afraid." I said, "What are you afraid of?" She said, "Of Daddy hurting you." She said he didn't change, and there was so much she had to tell me. She couldn't say it to me, and all because she was crying, and I knew I needed to get them out of there again. But so now I'm coming up with my plan. I put like my papers and stuff because I done left too many times that I can't run. Every time you gotta switch it up because when he knows that you're gonna go, that's when he'll attack. So now I'm mad at myself for like, why did you do this, Chef? Like, why? But I couldn't dwell in that. So I poured into myself by listening to sermons. Sarah Jakes, I love her. I was listening to somebody from Transformation Church. I just started finding things to kind of pour myself to get it in. I even started going back to school online, and as I'm in this school, as I'm taking classes online, he's blasting the music in the same room so I don't hear the professor. So things were just happening, and all I could remember is the guy out here. He said to me, "Whatever you're gonna do what's best for you, and then you can be best for them. I will support you. So if that means us calling it quits and me not being your support here," he was against me leaving, but he didn't like stop me. He wanted me to really true and live my true authentic self. So I remember that. And so I was just like, all right, Chev, all right, we come up with this plan. My sister told me to come to her house. From Virginia to Connecticut is like an hour, not too far, maybe like 2 hours, I think 4 hours. So now I'm a pro driver, guys, because I've been on the escape. Once you drive from New York to Florida, I'm like, all right,
I could do it.
So I ended up, that was my plan, to go to Connecticut and then figure out what would be my next step. And girl, it was a hot mess. The night that I did, so I put the stuff in the storage, like our paperwork. And then I put some clothes for the kids. I packed nothing for myself. And then he comes to me that same day, and we haven't spoke for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks now. And he's like, my mother said we need to change the energy in the house, so I'm done now. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I need some time away, so I would like to go and see my sister. He was like, so you taking the kids? I was like, yeah, they want to see their family. And he was just like, but I haven't been with them. You took them away from me for 7 months. You took them and moved to Florida. Now you want to take my kids again? I was just like, I just want to go and visit my sister. He was like, how long are you going to stay? I was just like, I'm going to stay for maybe like a day or two. And he, surprisingly, he was just like, okay. I was like, I had to cry, like make it like, I just need this. I just miss my family. You have your, like really be dramatic. And then he said he was okay with it, but I had to get his permission because I left him so many times, he didn't let me do anything by myself. He was not trying to lose me. So now it's that night and I'm picking up the kids' stuff, and him and my son had the same phone case, and I like go to pick up the phone, and I see Plenty of Fish text messages from a bunch of different women, dating apps, girls in Virginia. We just got to Virginia, guys. He already had relationships out there, like just straight disrespect. And now my daughter comes to me and she says, I can tell you the rest of what I want to say now that I calmed down now. She says, every night when you fall asleep, because I started to sleep in his sister's room and let his sister sleep downstairs. Every night when you go upstairs to sleep, I hear Daddy on the phone with other women. And she said, I didn't know how to tell you that. And it broke her heart. So I already knew what my plan was. I said, well, tomorrow's going to be our last day. So when we leave to go to Auntie's house, don't ask Daddy to come with us because this is it. And I promise you, this is it. And I told it to my kids the night before, and my youngest was not. He was just like, why do we keep doing this to him, Mom? Come on. You know, he didn't understand because he
Yeah.
loves his dad. And the next morning I got up. I never slept, guys. 24 hours of bubble guppies. Like my stomach was doing it was like a full of dope in my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Just,
Wow. Just the nerves
I
going on.
had and then I had knock at the door. It's my daughter. She was like, is it time yet? I'm like, Jesus. Then it's my son. So we gonna go now? And they're anxious too. Nobody can sleep. So I put the stuff in the bag. I'm like sneaking their clothes out and doing this out. But then my cycle came down on me. And I sent my daughter downstairs for a pad. And the way she was creeping must have made it suspicious to him. And so I was going to tell him I'm going to meet my sister on the parkway because I don't want to drive, and she's going to drive with me because she was coming back from North Carolina at the time, going to Connecticut. So he comes upstairs and he goes, you're not going nowhere. And those big, bright red eyes. And I was like, but you said I can go. And he was like, no, you're not. And I was just like, but you said I can go. And he was like, you took the kids away from me. You're not going anywhere. And I can see with him that if I approached him, I would have been dead. He would have killed me in front of the kids. So I called his mom. I asked her to come to the room because he wouldn't let me out of the room. And she was going through a lot at the time within her own, I guess, marriage and things in the house. And she just wasn't happy. So she was just like, I don't have time for this. And I was just like, but can you tell him to let me go? And then she was just like, well, why can't he go with you? And I was just like, because I'm going to go see my sister. Why can't I go see my family? And she was like, but normally you guys been doing everything together. Why would you leave him? And I was just like, he just kept on, girl, the questions was just crazy. So I was just like, okay. So then I was just like, so then she was like, just let her go. So I was just like, the attitude was not nice. And that hurt me because I thought like his mom was my mom at the time. And you couldn't tell me that. So that was just like, whoa. And then she left and went back to her room and he still was not moving. So I called her again. I was just like, can you, because I didn't have energy. If he would have hit me, I probably would have fell before the hit me. I was
Right.
tired.
And especially with your cycle down too. So
Exactly. So the mom, finally I get to the front door and I'm telling the kids like, run, put your shoes on, just go outside. I didn't care what we was leaving. And he was blocking the door and he was like, yo, you gonna take my kids from me? And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm coming back. Like, please stop. Like, I love you. Like, I would never do that. I just need time. We're not good. We're not great. Da 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 da. I had to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take the kids out the car. And he's like crying, Daddy loves you. Mind you, for 3 weeks you ain't helped them with virtual learning. You
you ain't do
depressed on the
shit.
couch. Got energy to be doing plenty of fishes with all these freaking fishes in the sea. Like, no, absolutely not. So he's like, I love you, and he's like crying to them or whatever. And then he goes to the trunk, and when he saw the kid's bag of clothes in the trunk, he was like, you think I'm stupid? And then the neighbors came out. So I was like, what are you doing? Leave it up. And he was like, don't you dare say nothing. Like, don't tough up. That's what he said to me. And I was just like, please just let me go. It's just clothes. We're staying a week. I'm going to come back. I promise. I'll call you as soon as I get in the car. But it scared the kids. They were so, mind you, we're on 24 hours of not sleeping at this point. And they were so afraid. And I got in the car and I called my sister. And she had told me not to come to her house because her and her boyfriend got into an argument. So what am I going to do? I got out, guys. And I went to the storage, got the paperwork, and who could I remember to call? I called my dad because he called my dad crying his eyes out saying that we were having marital problems and whatever. And my dad was just like, so what are you going to do? I was like, Juanita said I can't come. My sister said I can't come to Connecticut now. So I'm driving to the only place I know. So I was living in Florida. It was difficult, but it wasn't impossible. I'm going back. Like, and I will figure this out. And I knew that I had a check in my account for a good amount of money that can pay my first month rent if I needed to, but I just needed to get there. And my dad was just like, no, turn back around and drive to New York. You don't have any friends in New York. And now I'm on the 95 just driving and nowhere to go again. And I was just like, I'm not going back. And I remember the neighbor, my friend's neighbor, and I called him up and he was just like, calm down, calm down. And I'm just like, I just know no one is going to help me. And my kids are screaming in the back, crying like, yeah, please don't ever make us go back to him, Mom. Please. They're like, we were scared. We almost did not make it. We almost, this time was like, when I say this time, now there were times where I left bloody, but this time, guys, we almost did not make it. And the kids saw that. And he prayed with me, the neighbor. He told me to calm down, and he prayed with me. I asked him if he could book me a hotel. I'll give him the money. I'll give him, but I'm driving on the 95, and because I can't drive at night, I cannot see at night. So I was just like, it's going to say I'll get there in 13 hours, so I'll reach at, I left at 10, so I'll reach by 11 because I need to stop for gas and feed the kids. So please, but I was trying to ask my dad if, I could just stay by him to just because he's closer to me going further out south where I live, where I was from in West Palm Beach. And man, it was just a lot. And he ended up letting me stay with him, but under the circumstance that I had to ask his wife, which I didn't appreciate that. And I will tell that in my story. His wife is not my mom. It's his third marriage. So I had to contact his wife and ask permission. And I was kind of upset with that because he was part of my not reason, but he was like in my support of me going there. But he was also in my support of me leaving because he knew it wasn't safe. So in that, you would think, I'll open the door for you. No, he didn't. And so I can stay with them, but it could only be for 3 days. And they gave me 3 days to stay with them, with the kids. Guys, want to hear what I did?
What?
Go ahead, ask your question.
My question is, how did it feel every time you went back and it didn't work out? And knowing that you went back several times, how did that make you feel?
So every time I went back, I thought that was the best decision. I didn't see it as wrong until I got into it. But, oh, I'm so sorry. But in leaving, a huge part of me was lost. I think I lost life. I didn't even understand, like, myself. I was more angry at me than I even was with him because I felt like I should have known better, but I didn't. I do now. Yeah.
And how long have y'all been separated at this point?
Going into 3 years.
Going on 3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And now we're working on a divorce. We're not getting back together.
No. So he refused to sign the divorce. He has already moved on. He has a new child. He refused to sign the divorce because he says that he's not divorcing me. I'm his love. Yet he has a new family. He moved on. And I needed to really educate myself. So because I had already experienced like that true love from the guy here, I was just like, now I have something to measure it to. And I know for some people that sounds crazy because they'd be like, dang, you just jumped quick. I didn't see it as jumping quick because it wasn't love as, we got into a relationship. His friendship, his support, his community without even saying like, yo, I'm going to take them to get a haircut, but you got to give me some ass later. It wasn't that. It was straight up like, you deserve this. Like, why are you like thanking me for things that this is what men do for women? But I didn't have to relate to. I never had that. So I only know dysfunctional love,
Right.
And so when I had the few months of that before, we let everything go, I had something to kind of see what life would be like. And I left and I was able to start dreaming again because he knew my past, the guy here, because he ended up being like my co-partner for the things that I want. So I went to him because I wanted a YouTube show and I wanted to tell my story and give empowerment. And he was like, all right, so tell it to me. He's a journalist. So he was like, I'm gonna help you. I'll do your video production, da 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 da. And I told him my whole story. And not once he's ever said to me, you're a hoe, or oh, you have no worth. Or, so it's just like, dang, like, but then I go to somebody I was with 10 years who's watched me grow. Like, we were together from I was 18. And then we took that break. So it's just like, dang, bro, you know my struggles. You know what I've been through. I expect him to have more of that respect and really. So now you have that, you kind of know. And in this moment, I automatically came back to the state. I got an order of protection against him. It was hard because he's in another state. He did not show up to court 4 times. And after the 4th one, they threw out the order of protection. Like, it's the system is crazy, guys. And I cannot afford a lawyer. And at the time, because of COVID, they stopped taking funded stuff. So normally once you have domestic violence case, they will do your divorce through your case. No, they told me they took that program off and I could pay for a lawyer through my income. I'm like, but I don't even have an income because I'm out of it. I didn't quit my job, though. I was still, you know, the virtual thing worked out for me. So I was just like, that was it. So I came back to the state and I blocked his mom. I blocked everybody and I needed to figure out how to get my stuff. But I got back here. They gave me 3 days, and on the 3rd day, my check cleared. I was able to get a 1-bedroom apartment. I slept on the couch and gave the kids the room. And I mean, that was a while ago. Now I'm in a bigger space, but I did that sacrifice for a year just to kind of re-get myself back on, you know, my feet. And I really, really thank God that I had that support. I knew that I lost my friend who I came to this county with, but I gained a new partner, and he's my support here in this county, and I thank God for that. I do have family in Miami, though, and in Hollywood, but they're much further away. But in the county, when the kids got to get picked up and I got to be at work and stuff like that, I have that support. So I knew that it wasn't impossible. But my kids say, they'll say, Jesus rose on the 3rd day, and so did we. That's what my kids would say the year that we came, because my dad had gave us 3 days to live, find somewhere to live, and we did in that 3 days. And God, the timing, because first time was 15 cents in my account, and this time was no money but a credit card and a check waiting to clear, and it cleared right in time. If it cleared in Virginia, it would have been done, because he was on my money. Them stimulus checks, he was enjoying it very well. You know, I'm happy that it cleared here and I was able to get my place, and I knew I was never going back. Nothing in me.
So how does it feel being in, I know that you're in a relationship now, so how does that feel being in this different type of relationship where there's love, where there's stability, where there's support?
So with us being, with me taking this journey, so like I said, so when I came back, I didn't just dive back into him. I was like, oh, I'm back now. Even though he was right, are you still available? It didn't happen that way. We took a long time, like a long time. So I was, I want to say about maybe 6 months, like single, but we could meet, like not single, but like not intimate. Just, I knew that I wanted to be with him because I loved how he treated me. And it's super hard as a mom to find somebody that connects with your kids. But because he was the neighbor, when we're in the pool, he'll be in the pool. 4th of July barbecue, like we did everything together. So that was my hardest, like, part of dating, but he nailed that because he already had that relationship with them. So I was like, all right, well, we can do this. So we took our time, and still supportive, and he understood that if this is the road that we're going to go on together, I need a garden that I have to grow through. I have to go through and grow through, because I'm still in the reconstruction phase, still to this day, you know, and there's a lot of repair that I needed, because I believe not only what he's done to me, but the words that he said to me. I believe that that was me. So now I have to kind of learn how to love myself again. I have to learn how to really understand what my worth is, and I don't want to carry those confusing toxic traits into that. So I took my time, and you know, I would say it's been just 1 year of us dating. He would say he had me from, you know, the first year of coming here, but I would say it's our like one complete year of me giving him, and I'm still to working on being that version, my complete version, but a better version. I am in counseling. I do that every week. My children are in counseling. They do that every week. And then I do a lot of like self, you know, work. And that's why I created my Woman of Reflection, because, you know, I still wanted to continue what I thought I could have achieved in New York while I was going to school and opening up the empowerment center. It might not be an empowerment center, but now I can do talk things and I can join and really try to just gain different things. And that's how I found you guys, like the Give a Sister a Hug and joining on to the Wind Down Wednesdays. That was my first thing. But it's just like sisterhood, and hearing you guys talk about topics, and then I'm like laughing because I'm in the state with no friends, and I'm just like, I don't care, y'all my virtual friends. They don't even know me, but hey girl. I would join and, you know, like laugh, and everything was just like certain things. Like I want to do my hair, and I'm just like, yo, what do you think I should do with my hair? Like choose a style. And he would be like, why do you like? What do you want to do? But that was my routine. I did what my ex. He tells me everything, how to wear my hair. He hated my forehead. He said it was too big, so I always wore bangs. You know, like it was just so much, and it's like I have a partner that encouraged me to find my voice, but not only find my voice, but to be my true authentic self. And he is patient because this is a work in progress. And it feels super awesome to not only love myself that way, but to also have someone that loves me that way too.
Right.
Not going back, guys.
Awesome. So where is the divorce? Are y'all gonna get a divorce? Have they made him sign the paperwork or anything yet?
So listen, I am like right at the door, the next door. Like I should be divorced maybe, but not by the end of this month, but by the end of next month or before the New Year's, guys. Tell me why I checked my mail today. I was waiting on one document to come from New York, and it arrived today. So I'm be at the court. I'm opening the court on Monday. I'm gonna go right there. Like, hi,
She said
they
she
open the door.
opening the court Monday.
I'll be right there. Like, hi guys, and I should be done because it's hard because he refused to sign. I have to now like go down this whole caseload of like what to do. And now in the state of Florida, even though is it my Wi-Fi? You guys can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Weird.
Go.
I got the last document today, and so I just have to submit that. But I was saying that because he refused, I had to basically do the divorce as if, like, you know, I don't know. I kept serving him. I kept paying for him to be served in different states, and he just won't. He won't. He made it real difficult for me, and he's still making it difficult for me. But in this state, because I left and I took the kids and I did not have his consent, I was told that I can be sent back to New York, or the judge might grant him they might grant him permission to take the kids back until the case was done. But so I think in a way it was crazy. So with that being said, when he does want to see them, I have to let him see them, and he has open access to them via their iPads. So he'll FaceTime and call, which he doesn't. He's not consistent at all. And what he also started doing was manipulating my daughter through his ways, like, you know, and I couldn't anymore, so I have to shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important for him.
My daughter's been like crying. She feels replaced because he has like this new child, which is, you know, babies are a blessing, but when you speak to my child, you got to give her that time too.
Right.
And like, you understand like how you just jumped and had a new baby when you're not taking care of them.
Right.
So all over the place, and you know, that's just on him. He'll call and he's not consistent. He makes promises and then he'll like go blank. They can't call him. And I found her feeling like she can change him, she can fix him. He just needs help. And I read a text message that like she wrote like, please dad, please, I know mom has to deal with this and she has to deal with this completely, but if you be consistent, then I will appreciate that. Like just answer my calls or text me. Why does a child have to beg that from their dad?
Exactly.
They
Because
shouldn't
That's
in
have to.
actuality, she's not really missing nothing anyway from him. But she
Right.
still wants to be that daddy girl.
and
Right.
that's what it is. I can't have you. And that's what he told me. I can't have you. And I can't have my family. And when I speak to them, it makes me sad. It makes me down. But they're your kids.
Yeah,
So you don't care for them. So I definitely had to shut it down. It's a
exactly.
distraction. But I'm doing with them. I'm very big, guys, on like really creating, teaching, bringing awareness. I have a positive wall. I have like a word wall. I had to do things because that really diminished their core foundation. Now they question themselves, especially my oldest son, because not once did his dad did it to me, but now someone who he thought was the dad, because I left his dad at one, so this is the only father he knows,
Mm-hmm.
for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do like positive walk where we write stuff like I have faith or I will make a difference, and those are the things that we would write and put it on a sticky wall so that they can know the good things about them, and hopefully it will kind of eventually they can understand that that's who they are and not what we experience. That I'm
Right.
very big on that. I would say that to me that is one of the hardest part is just, and everybody has their different times of like healing, that
Mm-hmm.
grieving stage, healing stage, and I am further along than my children are. And then my kids kind of theirs pop out in different ways, tantrums, crying, bad in school. Yeah, so that's my difficult part of it.
But our biggest thing is we want that divorce to be final, and that way he
Yep.
can get away from them because um they don't really need him. They have a mama that's very supportive of them, that's gonna get them through what they need to. So that's the biggest thing that we're hoping that it can happen like tomorrow. Like as soon as you put the paperwork in, that shit is over with. Because they don't need that in their life anymore. They're on a new journey.
Yeah, so I came back in May and I filed for divorce in August. May. I came back May 25th, and I filed for the divorce because we had to do the court trial for the order protection. So until my last court date, which was in August, then I filed for the divorce. So I filed for the divorce in August of 2020, and I'm still like waiting for them to approve. But I'm also limited in how I can move because I'm doing the divorce myself. I don't have the funds for a lawyer, so. But I'm trusting God with this one. He knows, and I want. Let me tell you, this is the last on the list. I want out. I want out so bad, but it's so difficult the way the state, just the stupid things like them telling me I couldn't take the kids and that I needed to go back to New York with them, and I'm just like, but if someone's in domestic violence, they're not going to leave their kids with the man that, like, no.
Exactly.
Right.
That's crazy. I think, and that's why I always say that we deal with domestic violence, but I feel like we all need education. And from the judge to the police officer to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Mm-hmm.
always in a situation, in a case, that's a ball always being dropped, and it always leave the victim to 10 to 1 have to go back. And it really frustrates me that people always judge the
Mm-hmm.
lady because she went back. You don't know the reason why. And you know, hell, we fall down 7 times. And how many times God pick us up? Seven times, 7 times 7. So if you have to keep going back, that's what you have to do, because sometimes it's a situation. You just never know what that person's situation is. And it fears me that people judge females. You don't know. You don't know why that person went back. You don't know if it was financial reasons. You don't know. It's hard because it's so many hoops you have to jump through. You have to go live in these nasty DV places. Like you have to subject your children to these different environments. And people get tired of subjecting their children to these different environments in themselves. They gotta deal with roaches. Hell, why I gotta go? I could humble myself and go deal with his ass than a roach. Or catching the guppies.
Mm-hmm.
It just fears me when people judge the victim because she went back. She went back for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Do
I
God
think
question you every time you fall down and he gotta pick you back up? Nope. He said he'll pick us up 7 times, 7 times, 7 times. So why is it so hard to understand when a woman in a domestic violence relationship and she have to go back for certain reasons?
that's definitely to me the hardest part.
Hmm.
The lack, because then I already lack support. So
Right.
now I have everybody else's judgment against me as well. And I was done. I was done, you know.
And I understand. So, you have to keep your head up. You know, um, we always here, as you know, we always on Wind Out Fridays. You have our numbers, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have, before we close out? What suggestion you have for any lady or males, because we have males in domestic violence? What suggestions or last remarks you have for them?
So, the question that was asked to me one time that really, like, I like reflection stuff because I'm a writer. That's how I really realized, like, girl, you need to get out of here. I did a lot of writing. I spent a lot of time alone. And when I came back this time around, I joined like a meditation club, whatever. And I would wake up every morning before the kids woke up. And I would take time with myself, which is something I never do. I'm used to just, they're up, all right, I got to do breakfast and all this stuff. And in that time, one of the questions that someone said to me was, well, if you had the support, do you think that you would have done and like got away, or would you eventually have gone back?
Mm-hmm.
That was like so important. I started to think to myself, because what happens is when you're with someone who's abused you, that love doesn't leave because they abuse you. The love still lives on. But
Right.
you leave because you don't love the fact that they abuse you. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the reason why the return kept happening. Because I loved him and I still wanted to believe that we can make it work, but I did not want to be abused as to why my reasoning for fighting and why I'm here now. You know? So I had to work on how to cure that. How do I deal with letting that love go? Because normally in a relationship, when you don't like somebody, you break up with them, you're already done, but you have your reasons to. When it's violence, it's kind of hard because, like I said, your choices are different. So my advice to any victim is to really be patient with yourself, to take time with yourself, and to also sit and give yourself that time to kill that love. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I am a writer, so what I did was I had a funeral. And in my funeral, I wrote a letter where I was killing the infatuation of what I believe we could be, what I believe, what I dream for us to be, and really just killing that version of the story that kept making me go back. I had to see him for who he was, but it couldn't work when the mind kept playing me and trying to make me believe that he would one day be that. So once I was able to do that reflection, I like to call it a funeral. I really had a whole funeral. And what I did, guys, this is my advice to any survivors out there. I had a funeral. I wrote everything that he hurt me and did and what I felt, and that it made me angry because these are my deepest desires and I really thought we could be this way. And I send it to the closest people to me in my family, or I would say my friends. Well, I say family, but they're really my friends, guys, because I'm not that close with certain family members. But I send it to the people of my sisterhood, I would say. And I cried like a real funeral. You know, like if somebody real close, I shed tears, and I would call them and I would read it again with them, and I cried. It's like I wanted everybody who was supposed to kind of go through the grieving stage with me. I started with that. And then I was able to really see him for who he is. And that's why I'm trying to say today, I will never go back. I will never go back. I've heard people make comments, well, that's because you got a new boo. He ain't got nothing to do with it. We just started dating a year now. I will never go back. Why? Because I love me first. I love my children. I know that I'm worth to live and I'm worth surviving. No one will take that right away from me ever again. Ever. So that grieving stage is important. Kill that love. Only way. And I probably would have kept going back if I didn't sit and take that time with myself and just really say to myself, like, wow, girl.
Right.
Sometimes I catch myself because, I love to share my stories to inspire others. That's what I live for. But some days in me, just even saying it, I get chills, I get tears. Like, dang, girl, you still went back? I need Netflix to give me a series.
Have anything, sister, before we check out?
I don't know. I'm just kind of at I guess a loss, but I'm glad, that you finally had enough. That is, a struggle with a lot of women, with leaving and going back and leaving and going back, so, but I'm glad that you have finally had enough and that you're over it. And I do like the aspect of the funeral part. I've never heard of that, but I think that's a good idea. I think that's something that you need to do. You need to write it down. You need to get it off your chest. You need to go through the grieving process so you can move on. I like that. I think that's something that needs to be said often. Yeah. That.
Before we go, we all gonna drop a positive affirmation. Sister, start with a positive affirmation.
Let me think of mine for this week.
A positive affirmation. Be free. Be free with everything that you want to do. Be free. It's up to you to make it happen. So just be free. Period. That's what I got. Be free.
All right, Miss Sister Chevy. Positive
Okay.
affirmation.
So my positive affirmation will be, we're always waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect time. We have to understand that perfection lives within us. So
Yes.
it's not a time, it's not a place, it's not a moment. It's whenever we're ready, that's when the perfect moment happens, and everything truly falls into place when you're in that perfect mindset. So I'm just, listen, claiming total health, and that's financial, that's physical, that's spiritual, that's emotional and mental. And that's how we birth our, I guess, positive moment, that right time, whatever you see it with, just claim total health. When you have that complete balance in those key components, you'll do just right. So.
That part.
Yes, I like that. And my positive affirmation will be believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. If you want other people to believe in you, you have to believe in yourself. It starts with self all the time.
Yes.
So I just want to thank our sister Chevy for coming on, sharing her story.
Yes.
Because we just never know who is going to help and what information that can help you that may be sitting out looking at the show, how that may help you to either get over your situation or get out of your situation. But always
Yep.
remember to have a safety plan. Don't tell nobody that safety plan. Nobody but somebody that you really, really say you can trust. That's gonna hold your secret. That's gonna go to the grave with that secret and that safety plan. But always remember to have a safety plan. You know, it's never a good time, but you can work on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say thank you for allowing us to share your story here
Thank
and
you.
give a sister a hug, because I know it's so many women out there that's going through it or went through it or they struggling right now because it's the whole judgment thing. That they're being judged because you was with this person or you went back to this person. Like, it's just a lot. But I'm glad that you made it out and keep going forward, you and the kids. Best of luck to everything. Make sure we keeping up with Wednesday Warrior sisters.
Sister talk. Yeah.
Sister talk, yes.
I was just,
And keep spreading that love and that energy to people, because guess what? Not only you can help you, but at the same time you healing other people too as you heal
Yep.
yourself.
Yep.
So
That is true.
that's our show today. Thanks for tuning in to Wind Down Fridays. Will give us a hug, the Survival Edition, and I just want to
Yes.
say thanks again, Chevy, for allowing us to share your story on our platform. I'm your girl, Author Erica. I got my fabulous co-host with me, Author Kim, and my sister Chevy. So you guys
Yes.
have a nice day and take care.